Halafiani is the Epetibia Losha Ola Omi Kalatunde. And this is my second video of the day. Something that I've been saying that I needed to do and get out there. So trying to knock both of these out at the same time. Ooh, my nose is itching. Over the winter solstice break, I got my septum pierced. I've been saying I wanted to do it for a long time. And my daughter found a place that could do it, so I got it done. I'm so excited. I love how it looks. And that's very appropriate because the topic of this particular video is image. Okay, Nagasi, can you please go and do that downstairs and stop turning cartwheels in the house? It's not something that we do in the house. So please go and do that downstairs. The topic of this video is image and the importance of image and why we should pay attention to it, why we should be concerned with image. And it came to my mind because over the winter solstice break, I was talking to my two oldest children, and I have a 23-year-old daughter and a almost 1-year-old grandson, and then my 21-year-old daughter who doesn't have any children at this time. And so we were doing some shopping, and it was just the three of us and the baby. And the topic of imagery came up, or images and why images are important and how they impact you in your daily life and how you think about yourself. And I've always been, ever since I became a mother, I gave birth to my first daughter when I was 20. Ever since I became a mother, the images that surround my children and the images in my home have been extremely important to me because I experienced as a child constantly consuming images that did not look like me, constantly putting things into my psyche that was vastly different from what I was and what I looked like, and were having vastly different experiences from what my life experience was, and that had so many negative repercussions. As a woman growing up in the West, I think that one of the biggest obstacles that we face is overcoming the images that the media throws at us. And this is just as women in general. You very rarely see in Western media images of real women. That is very rare. Most of the images that you see, first of all, have been very much tampered with, have been very much touched up and airbrushed. So you're not looking at a real person. You're looking at, someone's fantasy, someone's make-believe. There's nothing wrong with fantasy or make-believe. But this is what you're constantly consuming. This is what you're constantly seeing. So that when you then go to look in the mirror, then you look at yourself as something outside of the ordinary, when actually it's the images that you're looking at that are outside of the ordinary. There's generally nothing wrong with you and nothing wrong with what you look like and nothing wrong with what you're doing, but the images that you're looking at are so far from normal that they make you believe that you look abnormal. So that's just for women in general. But then if you put into that particular perspective also being a woman of African descent, when do we ever see positive images of women of African descent? And when I say positive, I mean fully and totally and completely positive. Because from my perspective, for it to be positive, then it has to be embracing the totality of what the person is. It cannot be a positive image if it is actively negating something that is normal and natural for that person. So how often do we see positive images? And I'm not even speaking about actions. I'm just speaking about what you see with your eyes. How often do you see an image of an African woman that is positive? When we're looking at media, how often do you see that? Very rarely do you see it. And when you, as an African woman, consume images of yourself that are negative, Then when you turn to look in the mirror, it's very difficult then for you to create and to maintain a positive self-image. It's very difficult because you are what you consume. We often hear the term or the phrase, you are what you eat, but you are what you consume. And what you consume not only consists of the food that you put in your mouth, but it consists of the conversations that you have. It consists of the images that you look at. It consists of the music that you listen to. All of these things you are consuming. I often tell my children, your brain is the first computer. And whenever we get a new computer, what do we have to do in order to cause that computer to do what we need it to do? We have to program it. We have to give it a default setting. We have to give it this, that, and the other so the computer knows what we want it to do. But your brain is the first computer. So anything that you are consuming is what programs your brain. And your brain is going to act on that which you consume. Whether that's food, whether that's images, whether that's music, your brain is going to act on that. So you can pay lip service to whatever you want to pay lip service to. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But if the images that you are feeding your brain constantly are a negative view of you or a non-existent view of you, then your brain is going to act on that. You cannot develop love for yourself in the midst of eating negativity and hatred of yourself. It's not possible. It's not possible. So in particular, I am extremely, and I say extremely from the perspective of being extreme, I am extremely careful about girls, would you mind closing your door? I am extremely careful about the images that I allow to enter into the psyches of my children. We do not have toys that don't look like us and don't represent a positive view of us. We do not watch anything about people who don't look like us and doesn't represent a positive view of us. We don't listen to anything that does not represent us and does not give a positive view of us. Because what would be our reason for doing that? Why would we do that? Why would we pour into our body things that are not positive for us and things that are not positive representations of us? So if you pay attention, you will see the outcome of pumping your child full of these negative images of himself or negative images of herself. So you may have a child that is highly intelligent. You may have a child whose family life is all right. There's not anything bad going on there per se, but they are being raised by the television. And they sit in front of the television and they watch whatever moves. And the first problem that you're going to have is that the child is going to have what they call attention deficit disorder, because the child is not going to know how to focus on anything except something that is similar to television. So that's the first issue that you're going to have. The second issue that you're going to have is the child is not going to have any idea how to connect with another human being, because that's not what they're doing in their day-to-day life. So this is already, those two things alone are going to create behavioral problems for any child already. This child is already going to be almost impossible to care for and almost impossible to teach. He or she may be getting put out of every school that you put him in just for those two things I just said alone. Now, add to that this is a child of African descent, or this is a majority people child, one of the black, red, or brown peoples of the world. Then not only is the child not getting any stimulation from other human beings, not only is the child not learning how to properly focus their attention, but the child is also being taught that they're ugly and that they're powerless and that they're unimportant. Because that's what you're saying. That's what not having positive images of yourself says. It says you are ugly, you are unimportant, and you're powerless. That's what you're giving your child. When you feed your child with those images, that's what that child is getting. Okay, so now that just deals with regular human images. So what about characters? Because I've never allowed my children to have things that have characters. We never did have, the Elmo bedroom and the Hello Kitty bedroom. We never did those types of things. What about characters? I personally am not a fan of characters, of your child being allowed to be obsessed with characters. And to a certain degree, there's parts of it that I have found that I have not been able to fight. My little sister is so much better at it than me, because if someone gives her baby a character, she will immediately give it back to that person. So she's a lot stronger than I am in that arena. But I will generally go ahead and accept it. So then you have, some part of the love of this character eking into your child's life. But I'm not a fan of characters. I don't know enough about what is behind the creation of the characters to allow my child to embrace them to that degree. You know, I mean, the truth of American media and the truth of American marketing and Western media, because I'm not just going to put it on the United States of America. We have to say Western, as a whole, this entire system, is that it is replete or full of subliminal messages. So, what is the subliminal message of a character like Elmo? What is that saying to your child? I don't know, because I didn't create the character. So I'm not comfortable with allowing my child to obsess over that character when I don't know what the message is behind the character. I have no idea. So no, we can't obsess over it. What is the subliminal message behind Hello Kitty? I don't know. So there's no need for my child to be completely obsessed with that character. No need for my child to wake up and go to bed every night looking at this character, and I don't have any idea what's behind it. When I could put things in the child's room and things in the child's sphere that I know the history of and that I know the intent behind, so I can be sure that positivity is being consumed by my baby. Image is everything. It's everything. Where you feed your eyes is just as important, and sometimes more so than what you feed your mouth, because generally it's what you feed your eyes that's going to inform what you put in your mouth. Sad but true. Sad but true. Be careful, be aware, be conscious of the images that you're feeding yourself. Be conscious, be aware, be careful of the images that you're feeding your babies. Who in the world created Angry Birds? I have no idea. So then we don't play Angry Birds. I don't know nothing about Angry Birds. I don't understand. And suddenly it's this big crap. No, I'm sorry. If it is that popular and if it's being pushed that hard by the media, I'm guaranteed not to trust it. I'm guaranteed not to want it in my home, because I have not seen evidence of where the media is pushing something and making something popular that's going to be helpful and healthful and good for my child and good for me. I haven't seen that happen. What I see the media push is things that are going to make me keep on spending my money. So they have to have some kind of subliminal message in them to make you keep going back buying more and more of it. So no. And then, I'm just giving examples. I'm not saying that these things in particular are bad, but I'm giving examples. Be aware as a parent, as a mother, as a father. Be conscious of what you're putting in your child's sphere. And if you don't know what it is, then don't put it in their sphere. Go and find something else. Does this mean they can't have a t-shirt with a bird on it? If it's just a plain bird and the bird ain't got no name and me and my child have to name the bird, I'm picking that t-shirt over the Angry Bird t-shirt. Does this mean that their bedspreads and curtains and stuff can't have teddy bears and dinosaurs or whatever? That's fine. If it is a nondescript teddy bear, a nondescript dinosaur that we get to name, and we get to give the dinosaur a story and say, this is what the dinosaur is doing, this is what happened in his life, I'm good with that. But just this particular dinosaur, you've already, the story of his life is written, and you've already given him a name. I don't trust that because I'm not sure what the purpose behind that image is. And if I were to attempt to figure out what the purpose of the image was, I wouldn't come up with anything positive. Be aware, be conscious. What you put into your eyes is what you're eating, just as much as what you put into your mouth. What you put before your children's eyes is what they are eating, just as much as what you put in their mouth. What they listen to, they're eating, just as much as what you put in their mouth. Is this what you want them to consume? Because you are what you consume. That is what you become. So if as a Black woman, as a woman of African descent, I am constantly consuming images of European women, then that is what I am. And since I can't be that in this lifetime, first of all, I'm going to suffer from a level of depression all the time. I'm going to suffer from a level of self-hate all the time. And I'm going to be striving to look like, to think like, to act like, to be that thing, which is not me. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. And it is destroying those who are following it, those who are running behind it. And like I said, I'm extremely careful about it, and I realize that it is extreme. But that is why I'm careful about it. And I have 6 children, so I've seen the results of it. You can have children that have positive self-images. You can have children that feel good about themselves and that know how to interact properly in social situations and know how to sit down and be quiet when it's time to do that too. I have my young children now are 3 and 6. And when it's time to sit down and be quiet, I fully expect them to sit down and be quiet in the same way that I expect my 15 and 17-year-old to sit down and be quiet. And there's nothing wrong with that expectation. And I don't have to go all outside of myself to have that expectation met. Because I'm not constantly day in and day out taking away their ability to properly focus their attention. That's not what I'm doing. I'm making sure that they can properly focus their attention by expecting them to do so throughout the day, by allowing them to self-regulate, and by putting them in the position to focus their attention throughout the day. So I wanted to just pause and throw that out there because that's been on my mind since I had that conversation with my daughters. What is the importance of image? And how does it impact your children? How does it impact you? All right, so that's my second video of the day. Peace, blessings, ecstasy, abundance, bliss, all of the beauty and sweetness that life has to offer, the blessings of Oshun upon all of those who are wishing good to me and my family, and the lessons of life upon those who are wishing me otherwise. All right, Odabo.